I'd like to call the Board of Mayor and Alderman work session for May the 4th, 2023 to order. Our first item of business is a review of the April 6th work session minutes. Are there any corrections? Hearing none, those will stand as written. Next is the review of the April 13th, 2023 special called work session minutes for our budget. Are there any corrections on April 13th? Hearing none, those will stand as written. Item C is the review of April 20th, 23 special call work session minutes. This also relates to the budget. Are there any corrections? Those will stand as written. Item 2, we're moving into requested reports, action request. This is for FY 2022. It's the audit letter from the Tennessee Comptroller regarding Fayetteville City Schools. Any comments on that item?
I don't have any comments. It does look like to me that this was anything to be concerned about or anything. Just wondered why did we get this? Is there a reason we're getting these letters?
I think it just comes to the board. I mean, with them being under the city, it's with Ms. Lisa. I think it was just the way that things were looked at this time.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
So it'll be.
They asked us to send that stuff.
This is just information.
We just did why. That's all it is.
We don't have to take any action or anything on it, just information. All right, thank you.
Because they're under the city umbrella. Item B is the FY 2022 audit letter from the Tennessee Comptroller. This is regarding FPU. This is basically the same as the Fayetteville City Schools. It's just because they are under the city's umbrella, and this is notification. Item C is FY 2022 audit letter from the Tennessee Comptroller. This is for the city of Fayetteville. Any questions or comments on this? It's basically FYI also. We have a call for a public hearing for the FY 2024 City of Fayetteville budget. Any comments or questions on that?
Just carry it on to the meeting here tonight.
Okay, we'll carry this on to Tuesday's Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting. Item E is called for public hearing for the FY 2024 Fayetteville City School budget. Same. Move this on till Tuesday for the Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting. Item 3, we'll move into our department reports. First up, we have Director Plunkett with Public Works.
Yes, so the first item we have is we are asking for permission to apply for the multimodal SS grant. Again, this is one that the city has applied for in several years before, and I have been looking at some of the form applications, but we want to apply for sidewalks. Ms. Cross, who is with the South Central District, will be here on Monday to help us start the application process, but we wanted to ask the board for permission to do an intent to apply.
So that could feed in quick enough to help with the sidewalks.
Yes.
That quick approved.
Yes, and announcement just came out on April 26th. We have until near the end of May to apply if we decide to, but we felt like sidewalks, we just do some of the additional sidewalks will be very helpful.
Is this a state grant or federal?
It's this is a state grant.
Okay.
It's a 90-10 grant.
90-10, correct.
Well, if we do it, let's be sure we contact our representatives.
We will, yes, sir. As a matter of fact, Representative Marsh also sent me and I told him we will be responding back to him.
Okay. I'm all right with sending it off. Everybody else?
I'm good.
Send it off. Let's do it.
Okay, this will move on to Tuesday night's meeting. Item to Mr. Plunkett?
We received our paving bids, Old Wells Hill Road, Wright Paving was a low bidder on that one. They've got some interest in it on account of the Catholic Church. We're working with the church about maybe letting them have the land right in front of their church and us do retain the south entrance to the highway. Mr. Hill is looking into that for us and to see what all we have to do and make sure there's no conflict with any surrounding property owners. Lincoln Avenue will be removed from the project. FPU has utility work to do on that one. So our bid will go down. Mark Avenue is also being looked at by Mr. Hill to see who owns that street, whether it's the city or the housing authority. But as of right now, coming to you, we're asking for roughly $450,000 to do the paving project minus Lincoln. Right Paving, if we do donate part of that property back to the church, they will give us a credit for the work that's done that he had in the project for that section of street. So we ought to be around $450,000 or a little less for paving.
So you may, just talking with Vice Mayor, you may be able to add one, you think, even though this bid has come in for that little patch of street up there on,
Well, on the bottom here, he's got an additional paving of $15 a square yard.
okay,
I'll have to get him to explain that a little more in detail, but we might can do that, yes,
okay,
ma'am.
because it's not very long. You know this road I'm talking
Yes,
about?
ma'am.
Okay.
So the funding, where's the funding come from?
Bond issue.
All of it? All of it's coming out of the bond issue? Okay.
And for reference purposes, the street, Alderwoman Small mentioned that's North Lincoln, North Main and Lincoln.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It is, yes.
Okay,
It's
thank
a
you,
little alley that runs between those two.
thank you.
I'm all for it. I want us to get some paving done, so I like this.
And that could possibly be done if this 56,000 comes off correct. I mean, not the one on Clark.
Mark.
Yeah.
What was the question?
That money can come off and possibly do that road there. If it comes off, it belongs to them.
If it belongs to the housing authority, that's correct.
Well, if it comes off
Could add something.
and we're allowed to add that $15 additional paving without going back to another bid, I don't know if we are or not.
We shouldn't
need to
have
try-
to. If he's give us a price, the way it's worked in the past, and I'll have to verify it, they give us a price for additional paving. Like if we need to go another 100 foot for some reason, or they'll do it for the $15.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
he may have a mobilization charge or something else because of that street not in proximity to the rest of them.
I think what we're kind of saying too is if Mark Avenue comes off, then we would probably want to find somewhere we could use that other 56,000, transfer it somewhere else.
We can do that.
I don't know about those streets in the housing. I mean, if they don't know, if it don't belong to the city, I don't know. John, do you know?
I worked on this yesterday afternoon, Vice Mayor, and I haven't had a chance, I was hoping to meet with Danny after the meeting this
Okay.
morning. It's not crystal clear. There is a deed where the housing authority dedicated back to the city streets in Mayberry Courts. And I think that would Mark, would you consider that to be part of Mayberry Courts?
Yes, sir.
But the original Mayberry Courts is only 5 acres, and I think the current size of it is like 14 acres. We found an old plat that I think is Clark Street, which is the next street up from Mark, that I think is pretty clearly has been dedicated back to the city. And it had been the practice of the housing authority once the projects were completed to dedicate the streets back to the city. But I can't nail down
Well,
with absolute clarity that Mark was ever done.
If they've not done that and it's not clear, could we ask them to go ahead and just dedicate it back to the city so we can maintain it? Because somebody's got to maintain it and they're not doing it.
Falling apart, yeah.
Eddie may have, you know, knowing the property better than I probably do, he may have some insight on
Yeah.
some theories about how, there are references to project numbers that I don't have access to plats or whatever.
I would just ask the houses to dedicate that street back to the city and be done with it. Make it clear, because we've got to have that street, pick garbage and stuff up and fire trucks and everything. We've got to have those streets down there.
It definitely has been the practice of the housing authority to
Right.
dedicate the streets back to us. It just,
Okay.
I think it's, what I was able to review yesterday, I feel comfortable that Clark was deeded back to the city, but it looks like the Mark part of Mayberry Courts was added on at some later date from the original project. I'm not sure if it has a different project number. Again, these project numbers, I don't have anything to look at to say.
If there's any question about that, I bet that board down there would just love to dedicate all of it back to the city. Be rid of it. That'd clear the whole thing up right there if there's any question about it. Because we got to have those streets. We can't do anything without them down there, so. And Clark it's as bad a shape as Mark's in, probably almost.
Almost, yes, sir. Majority of it's concrete too.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
So who's going to look into the clarification or make the contact with the housing authority?
We will.
Mr. Hill? Okay,
Yeah.
okay, good deal. And these other roads that we have on here, these have been cleared by FPU as far as,
This whole list was sent to FPU, and Lincoln, Twin Union and Mayberry was on the two that they flagged us that they had work on.
okay, great.
Read those streets off where the public will know, Eddie. if you don't mind.
You got Old Wells Hill Road from the Huntsville Highway back to basically Huntsville Highway. It's a loop in there. Lincoln Avenue was removed. Mark Avenue from Maple to the cul-de-sac. Frankie Boulevard, 64 Highway to Providence Road, North Elk, Washington to J. William Battle, Wilson Parkway to Locust Street, Boones Hill Road, Washington to the bridge, approximately 800 feet of asphalt there that's in the city. Dunn Roman Highway to Huntsville Highway to Peyton Trail, King Drive South, Huntsville Highway to King Drive East, King Drive East from Huntsville Highway to Old Wells Hill Road.
So we should know about using that, maybe something about Mark Avenue.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And are we going to add the potential that it may
Yeah. The land up
forest
here. Yeah,
pending? Okay.
yeah, that might really be named Forest Street. I don't know if it is or not.
It is.
Forest comes into
It
it.
is forest.
Okay.
So Eddie, is Tony and Tommy gonna combine on this thing? Is just Right Paving's just gonna do one road, or Right Paving's gonna do all of it? Or
Right Paving's got the contract to do the one road.
Okay.
We built them individual roads in case we didn't have the money.
gotcha.
We could take them out and wouldn't have to rebid the whole project, so we built them individual streets.
Okay.
And Wright wants that because they've got more work going on out there themselves.
Okay.
They're doing some
They've
work.
got
down there.
interest in the church,
Church.
the parking and those type of things that they want to redo for the church.
Cool.
Old Mulberry Road, bridge was completed, we inspected it Monday. We had 100,000 set aside and it come in under 95,000. So that's just for your information. Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie.
Next up, we have Chief Pendergraft with Police Department.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I've got 3 event permits. The first will be the Tiger Tracks at Ralph Atkins School. This is where the children walk through the neighborhood to celebrate the end of the school year. So we're going to handle that on duty personnel in the SRO, and I have approved this to submit to the board for your approval. The second event is Recovery Fest. It'll be on October 14th. This is from the Anti-Drug Coalition. They're estimating 900 people to participate in this walk. Again, I think that's a little heavy number, but we'll be prepared if it is that many. We'll handle this with the command staff and on-duty personnel also. The third is the Kids Fishing Rodeo. This will be held Saturday, June 10th. Expecting 300 people, and I will have to assign a couple of overtime officers to this event, just for the safety of getting the cars in and out of the park. We also have a roadblock request and a solicitation request by the Lincoln County High School Band Booster Group. They want to set up at 4 areas throughout the city: South Main and Thornton, Winchester and Thornton, North Main and Washington, and West College and Lincoln, to solicit funds. It'll be on the 27th from 9 till 12, and we'll assign on-duty personnel to support them in this endeavor. And I recommend each of those to be submitted to the board for approval. Just a housekeeping item. The police department's new pistols have arrived, all except the investigators. We're still waiting on those. They got a smaller frame pistol, and we're waiting on it to come in. So we're working now to try to do an ammo exchange for swapping the .40 caliber for 9mm. We'll be getting that taken care of, and hoping we'll get these guys qualified with their new pistols here soon. Our SORT team, as you know, it's been below manpower for quite a while now. They have started back training, and as of today, we are response ready if we should have an event. So our SORT team is back up. Our bicycles officers are starting training next month, and we'll get those guys back out on the street for some of these big events. Thank you.
Questions?
Thank you, Chief.
Did we say we was going to move the paving onto the board? Or did we skip that?
I think we said we were.
We said we were.
Pam, do we have notes that we are moving the paving on to Tuesday? Yes. Thank you, Chief Pendergraft. Does anyone have any questions or anything on that report?
We're moving all these requests over to Tuesday as well for the events, correct?
That's correct.
Mayor, the number 4 roadblock doesn't require board action.
Okay, next up is Chief Kimber, Fire Department.
Good morning. We just hired 3 new employees. We just finished the paperwork and stuff on them. They'll be starting here within the next couple of weeks after they finish their 2-week notices at their previous employers. And then also we did have a rescue on the river Monday, two adults and 2 juveniles that we got out of a car that tried driving in the water. And then I have no updates yet on any of my grants that are still out and available. And other than that, that's my report.
Any questions for Chief?
Tell me, did we set aside funding for the fire department to get a special boat for rescue?
We did, and it's ordered, has not come in yet. It's part of the ARPA, correct? Yes, the ARPA money.
So we'll be fully stocked.
Yes, it will be. Our raft has come in, but the boat and the motor has.
So
not
you'll
come in.
have that available without having to wait on
Correct.
EMA in case they're slow getting there.
Correct.
And we were right on the river. That'd be a good thing.
That's right. Yes, sir.
Us being right on the river, that'd be a good thing. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, Chief?
I missed an item on my agenda. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
The governor's violent crime funding grant. This will be for the body cameras. That contract has been signed by the mayor. We're just waiting on the funds to come, and after July we can get the body cameras for the officers. The collaboration grant that we also applied for, we got notice that we did not get, so we won't be getting that extra money.
Okay, thank you. All right, next up, we have Parks and Recs, Director Carter.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I work at Don Davidson Electrical. We're still waiting on parts. We're hoping everything comes in this month, and hopefully the work will be completed at the end of June. our drainage work over there at Don Davidson Park, that is for our drainage work that we have over there. We have ordered the parts for that, the piping for that. And, well, actually, I'm sorry about that. We are still coordinating with Mr. Plunkett and trying to get that work done. What I was mentioning, I'm sorry about that. I got my drainage pipes confused. Over at the Lee parking lot, we have already ordered our piping for that. So just as soon as it comes in, streets department will come in and help us get that fixed. And our restrooms, concrete bollards over there at S.J. King Park, they have been installed and completed. Our spring sports, baseball and soccer, they are running, and they will be running until the end of the month, at the first weekend of June. Our soccer complex, the net installations for that. Right now, we're still trying to coordinate with FPU and get the holes drilled for those so we can put up the posts for those. Pool house floor painting, it has been completed, and we are prepping the pool for our season, which will begin on Memorial Day. And our fishing rodeo is on June the 10th.
Back to number 2, exactly what is that? I mean, drainage at Don Davidson, what does that consist of?
That is, if you know where the concession stand is,
Yeah.
there's a huge drainage pipe right there.
Okay.
And it is collapsing. So
Oh, it's a big pipe.
It's a big pipe, yes it is.
So has it been a little bit of a hold? The holdup is not with the street department, is it? It's with material?
No,
What's the holdup?
actually it's not. What the holdup is right now, we're waiting for Morgan, that is our engineer,
Okay.
to give us make sure we have the layout so we don't go through any of the conduit that's already been laid for the electrical lines.
So the street department's willing to help whenever everything else comes in place?
Yes, sir.
They're not holding anything up?
Not holding anything up.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, in this drainage repair there at Don Davidson, is any of that involved in the sewer? Is there any sewer problems there at all?
No sewage problems
Okay.
there at all, no.
Because some of those things that were covered up out of safety from a while back have been taken care of?
Part of that has, and this will entail part of that.
Okay, those have,
drainage, yes, yes.
Okay.
So if I may add, there was some work done probably at the end of 21, early 22
Yes.
on these same pipes, and found out that after the work was done, it was still a whole bunch of water that was maintaining, and some more additional work needed to be done. So what Brian is referring is to the same work that was done late 21 that the water still was not able to release.
Okay, so hopefully with all of this comes in and the parts get here and all of that will be covered in and there'll be no holes out there for sure.
Right, this should correct all of that.
Yeah, if you remember last year, the upper part of the field on that same line, we completed that. And then we're coming back in and what we were waiting on was for the conduit for the electrical work to be done. So now, since that's been done, we can go ahead and work on the other end.
Okay, that's what I need to get clear. Thank you.
All right, okay.
Rhonda, we need to get some, we was at Don Davidson Park yesterday, day before yesterday afternoon, I believe. We drive out there sometime.
Yes.
Coming into the park, before you start, right there where you turn to go, or you go straight on, don't we need some updated signage out there?
Yes,
To me, the signage out there is all obsolete.
Yes, and
I
we
think
are.
we need to replace that signage with some updated signage.
Yes.
And move it back up where people coming in can kind of know the direction to go with the ball fields or the
Yes.
dog deal or anything, you know.
Yes, we have had some discussions about that.
Yeah.
And we're looking to see if we can correct some of that. Some of those things on there are outdated. They are outdated.
I would get rid of that outdated signage because if it don't send you anywhere, I mean, that's
Right.
nothing going on there. So I'd get some updated signage and move further back up where people can see it when they come in off the highway.
Right.
Well,
When they get down there at the back turn.
all through the park back there was also some signage with names on them that didn't get approved by the board. Are they still there?
Yeah.
Yes, there's some.
Okay.
Yes.
We just need to get that place cleaned up best we can.
Yes, sir.
Will
So we
those
put
be
a lot
taken?
of, see, the taxpayers, most of this is government money coming in.
They're in the
Still-
process.
still-
They're in the process.
Okay.
Yeah, we need to get that place cleaned up the very best we can and do all we can to get these folks playing ball.
Yes. Hopefully in July, we can,
I know.
everything will, it'll be back together.
Well, everything with this pandemic and all, everything's just out of kilter. Everything.
Has the dugouts been painted?
Yes, the dugouts have been painted, yes.
All of them, or just the?
Actually, 3 of them have been painted. There's still a couple more that need to be.
That's not the
that need to be
Lincoln
finished.
That's a leadership Lincoln project.
That's right.
Yes,
That's looking a lot better. The painting is looking, it looks a lot better.
yes. And we've got a lot more to do.
Yeah.
We have a lot more to do.
And I think once that we get through out there, get through all the chaos of work,
Right.
and with the lighting out there, will probably be one of the best lit parks anywhere around.
Yes.
That new lighting.
Yes. If you look at the soccer field, same lights that are at the soccer field will be at the baseball field. Same programming. Yes, so they will look great once
I
they're
had an individual, a coach, I guess it's a coach, employee, city school system, mentioned to me, and I don't know anything about ball much, but he said that lighting over there at that Don Davidson Park is going to be something. It's going to be one of the best in the state.
will.
West it is, so I'll take his word for it.
Okay.
And Brian, isn't it, where the drainage pipe goes through, it's basically from the north to the south through
That is
that
correct.
concession area?
Yes.
And that cannot be paved or concreted until this drainage pipe is put in place and covered, and, because right now it's
Yes.
kind of treacherous walking out there through
It
that
is.
because there's so many holes and
Right.
concrete and pavement and a mixture of everything, so.
You are correct.
People would need to stay off of that and out of that area, so.
I
Thank you.
believe there's some, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's all I was just
Is there
saying.
some
Thank you.
funding is there in the projected budget, which we've not passed, but is there some funding in there for some paving at Don Davidson?
Yes, it is.
40-something thousand or 50-something thousand?
Yes, sir.
That's covering where that drainage is,
Okay.
that I was
Yep.
just speaking of.
Right into that section right there, where the concession stand is in the middle, that's what that is covering.
Okay.
Yes.
All the way to the gate. With the ones that don't ever close.
Yeah, right in that middle section right there. Everything that's been trenched out, and once everything, the drainage pipe is done, everything right there will be paved. And that's what that is included.
Paving's not in too good a shape all the way around to them ball fields. There's some kind of rough places around on as
Yes.
you're going around.
Yes, now there will be some places and they have agreed to smooth those places out.
Patch them up some.
Patch them up some,
Okay.
yes, once we're finished. Yes.
Okay, any more questions? Thank you. All right, planning and codes, Ms. Gentry.
Thank you, Mayor. The only item that we have is concerning 203 Maple Street West property. And I was going to see if Mr. Hill would explain how we came about with the opportunity to acquire this property.
So, the planning office has targeted this particular building, and there are pictures of it on your iPads, for condemnation. I reached out to the widow of the deceased title owner to this property, and she basically indicated that she would not have the funds to tear this property down if we condemned it, but she was willing to just sign over the property to the city. If we did that, then the city would own it, we would tear the building down, and then I guess we would look at trying to resell the property once the building's cleared out. The cost, I think the cost has been estimated about $13,000 to demolish the building, and I guess there's $10,300 in the budget left to do this, so I think there's a request for some additional funding to finish out the cost of that. The alternative to that plan would be to proceed with the condemnation. We would pay to tear the building down in that scenario too, and we would put a lien on the property. Then we would refuse to accept the property taxes on it until the lien was paid, and eventually the property would wind up in delinquent tax sale. Probably wouldn't be sold until 2026 at the earliest, and we would get some money out of it that way. But in all likelihood, with the tax sale part of it, it's just going to add more fees to it, going to owe more on the property. We'll probably wind up with it in the tax sale, because I think it's unlikely anybody would pay $15,000 for that vacant lot at that point. The lot's tiny, it's 4/100ths of an acre. The building covers almost the whole square, the whole lot. I do think, you know, we're likely to lose some money on this one way or the other. You know, the question is, if we just do this now and put it behind us and move on, or string it out through the tax sale. In the committee, the vice mayor asked about the prospect of building on the lot. As I said, the lot's 50 by 38. With the current setbacks on the building, you'd be limited to a 30 feet by 8 feet structure on it. So, you know, possibly there could be some zoning variances that, you know, maybe if the owners to the east of it wound up with it, they could possibly put a detached garage on it or something like that. I think it'd be hard to probably put a new residence on the property just because it's so small. At present, the tax assessor has removed the building from the tax assessment, so it's just being taxed as basically a vacant lot. With a value of $4,100, we're getting $15 a year in taxes on this right now. We have taken properties like this in the past. I think we've generally either broken even or come out a little bit ahead when we've done this in the past, but I do think there's a likelihood that, you know, we're going to wind up eating some of the cost if we do move forward on this. But it is my recommendation, having looked at this, that we just accept the ownership of the property now and deal with it now and move forward.
I'm good with that.
Okay, so we'll need to move this on to Tuesday night for the additional approval of the additional $2,700, the cost of demolition.
And I think the board has generally approved accepting property from somebody, so I think probably those two aspects of it.
Okay.
Just had a couple of other things I wanted to mention quickly. We do have 2 more condemnation hearings today at 1 and 1:30 with Mr. Hill for the properties located at 400 Market Street West. It's the old rock house kind of behind FPU right there. A permit was pulled on that and never, any work was never done on it, so we are moving forward with the condemnation process to get something done with that property, and also 412 Algeria Street. The demo at 1000 Campbell Street West should be completed today. The house is down, but there's some debris left to clean up, and that was one of the jobs that we used some of the budgeted funds. So a lien will be placed on that property as soon as we finalize all the paperwork. We did hold a Board of Zoning Appeals meeting on April the 24th, and a variance was given to place an accessory structure in the side yard at 67 Liberty Road. Just wanted to touch really quickly on our community cleanup program. We held a resident meeting Tuesday evening at the Glegorn Community Center. We had some of the Housing Authority representatives there. Several residents came out. Ms. Jill Smith put together a very detailed packet of information and resources concerning property maintenance. She had pamphlets on the recycling center and information on the dump, just trying to let people know what is out there, what is available if the garbage can isn't enough. Our first cleanup day will be May the 20th, beginning at 7 a.m. And we're working on some posts and some information to put in the paper to get word out on that. We found out yesterday that Kent Quick Companies, they had already donated money for our t-shirts and lunch that day, but they're also sending a crew that day to help with the cleanup. So that's something positive that's coming out of it. And so we hope that that's going to be the start of a good series of these cleanups. Our first area is going to be around the old hospital up through Elmwood Avenue and in that area. So that was the residents that we talked to on Tuesday evening. And then our department is going to go to the Housing Authority board meeting tonight to let their whole board know. And they've been very supportive of our efforts in this program.
Thank you.
Christie, I will say, as a gentleman approached me at one of the grocery stores yesterday or the day before one, and was very appreciative on a lot of the old buildings getting taken care of and things looking better.
Good.
It's always good to have a compliment. Pass that on to you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
And I don't think the gentleman would care for me telling who it was. Everybody here knows it was Charlie Cannon. It's Charlie, so
Oh, good.
coming from him, I appreciated that.
Yes, sir. We do too. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Owens and myself, along with the police department, was also, we were in attendance at this meeting. We appreciate Commander Casillas being out there. He presented the community watch aspect of the police department. So if that's something that community is interested in, the police department will assist them with that. So it was very encouraging. It was received very well by the attendees there. And so it sounds like it's going to be a good program. Christie, your department has really gotten out there and given a lot of information. So I think this will be a good push for our city. Thank you. Okay, moving on to IT, we'll have Mr. Sibley.
Good morning.
Good morning.
No action items this month. I do have a couple updates on some things I mentioned at last month's meeting. The city phone versus doing stipends comparison I was requested to do. Ultimately, it's still the same conclusion, but I did receive some updated numbers from Verizon's 2023 phone pricing. The iPhone 11 that I did this comparison with is no longer available through the business pricing. It's now an iPhone 12 for $150. The iPhone 13 that I used that was $350 is now $250. Ultimately, the cost of service for these phones would be an average of $15,048 per year. When you factor in hardware cost, that number is bumped up to $18,648 for iPhone 12s and $21,048 for the iPhone 13s. On the other side of the comparison, going all phone stipends, that number would be $21,420. So same ballpark, not a big issue with price. From a security standpoint, it's fine that we're using personal phones. I've already shown you I can mess with the emails that would be left on a personal phone because that's really the only type of city data that would be on someone's phone. So with that in mind, I think we're fine what we're doing right now as far as the phones. My next item, my annual disaster recovery testing. I mentioned I wanted to approach it from a different way. Instead of restoring each individual machine onto a separate machine, I ran all these up in virtual machines on one server. I virtualized our domain server, our finance server, and our police department server, as well as 3 additional workstations to interface with the data that would be on those servers. And everything was a success. Disaster recovery, still good this year. Our data's, all backups are doing well. And replacement iPad cases, I'm looking into getting different cases, same as the one that Alderman Martinez currently has. They're about $20 each. And for people that want an iPad case, I'll have those available.
How'd you get one so fast?
You guys break your iPad.
His battery failed in his. And at the last budget work session, there was the mention of the Speakers on the Square project. When I touched on that, there was a lot of interest in it, and also wondering if it could also be done down at Stone Bridge. So I'm looking into what would it take to have that done at Stone Bridge. Probably wouldn't be put on lamp posts because there's no power at the lamp post. That would involve digging in the ground, laying down additional power cable in the ground. So I'm just going to have to survey and look where the best positions would be next to existing buildings where there is power to plug into.
Zach, would that be the same type of brain that you would use up here, or would it be two different brains that you have down there?
It would be its own separate thing down there. So $2,000 for each speaker setup. I was thinking maybe 5 down at Stonebridge Park. And then $1,000 for the transmitter, another $1,000 for the mobile ability. So walk around and use it like a impromptu PA system.
Gotcha. And you can still plug in with your phone or be able where you can't tap into it. Only you can tap into it.
Absolutely, yeah, because it doesn't use Bluetooth.
Gotcha.
Which was a big concern.
Gotcha.
Other than that, that's my report.
Appreciate it. Any questions? Okay, thank you very much. Moving on now to finance, Fayetteville City Schools FY23 budget amendment number 2. Any questions on that? If not, we'll have anything on that, Jamie?
The first amendment, which is budget amendment 2 for the schools, this was just amendment for the projected year-end reconciliation for them. The second one is for grants that they're receiving for the camp grants for the summer. That's the second one for the Fayetteville City Schools.
Okay, any questions on those for Fayetteville City Schools? If not, we'll move those on to Tuesday night for approval.
We're going to kill that fly.
I know, I'm a fly. We have a visitor up here with us this morning.
Kill that fly. I'm going to take out that fly.
Okay, moving on to ordinance 2023-06.
Okay. The first line is for the bond projects. This amount is for catching the general ledger up or the budget up for pre-approved projects that were approved in FY22 that actually rolled over into FY23. FY23's original budget was 0, so this is catching up the budget compared to the project rollover. The second line is for bond projects as well. This was approved in last month's meeting for Old Mulberry and Terry Avenue. That is for $100,000 not to exceed. The third line, the third, fourth, and fifth actually net to 0. Those are for the HVAC repairs that we needed to do. So it's a net impact of 0 to the GL, but it's just reclassing between accounts. The liability insurance, that is for the soccer fields for $1,104.34 that we have added. And then the last is for the judge increase, catching up the budget for the last 3 months of the year. The capital is for the fire department for the approval for the Cascade system for $56,000. So this will add that into the budget line for that expense as well for this year.
Any questions on that? If not, we'll move it on to Tuesday. FY23 audit engagement letter, Putnam and Hancock.
This is for the engagement letter for FY23's audit. This will actually occur in FY24, but we have to send in the intent for the engagement letter up to the comptroller's office and put it into the CAR system. So we would need approval from the board to do that. Is there any questions for that?
Okay, we're moving that on.
Okay.
Do we have your report?
Okay. For this month, our local option sales tax, this month last year, we were at $258,915. The current month for local option sales tax is $290,325. Year to date, we're up $232,904. We're at 84% of our $3.2 million budget for local option sales tax. Our occupancy tax last month, for this year, last month, we were at $14,520. We are almost flat with the current month being $15,820. Year-to-date, we're increased at $33,274 for year-to-date, and at 97%, I want to keep it to dollars, of our budget for the year for occupancy tax. For property tax, for the current month of last year, we brought in $15,128, and for the current month, we've brought in $55,967. We are below where we were last year at a negative $138,272. We're at 91.51% year-to-date for the budget. However, looking forward for April and May, you'll see there's a decrease in May, but just kind of looking forward, it does catch up. So when I report next month's numbers, that negative 138 will catch up. So we'll kind of even out on the property tax side.
Okay.
Jamie, I have one question.
Yes, sir.
I guess I've been in finance, I know this probably, but normally from the school system, we have a couple of engineering invoices to approve every month. They're not on here. Is that some reason that we're not have to deal with that this time, or?
Are you talking about the pass-throughs?
No, yeah, the pass-throughs. Normally
With the Dawn project, is that with the Dawn project?
Yeah.
We didn't receive one
We
this
didn't get
month to
anything?
pass through.
See, every month, we always get two to approve every month.
They just don't have one this time.
Yeah, we don't have
We
one to
didn't.
pass through this month.
Didn't have it, okay. Good.
We finished that other grant, so
Okay.
we're waiting on the next one to start.
So that's over.
Because
That's over.
that part of the grant is, yes, and it's gonna start back up as another.
So, you're done with those engineers, that particular group,
No,
on that project? On that grant?
For that grant.
Okay, on the grant, okay, thank you.
It's a different grant picked up. From what I understood, one grant ended and that stopped the invoices, and now a new grant will take place on the same project,
That is
just
correct.
different funding.
that is correct.
Thank you. Anything else? Thank you. Mr. Owens, you're up.
Good morning again, Mayor and Board of Aldermen and the public. My report starts, I want to go, we received a request out of the Finance Committee on Tuesday, and this was with the Lincoln County Warrior exhibit. They're asking the county and the city to split $750 for some new flags that needed for Memorial Day. I apologize that we were not able to get this before the Finance Committee, but we literally received a request at 5:30 on Tuesday. So I want to ask the board for consideration of $375, which the county is entertaining the same amount for the flags that are asked to be presented for Memorial Day. And if this is granted, it will come out of tourism funding.
I move we do it.
I'm good with it too.
Mr. Owens, if I understood correctly, Ms. Williams had called, and these flags stay up from early May until after Labor Day.
Right.
So they really take some wear and tear, being out that long and in the weather. So they saved what they could. Some were still good. We're not replacing all of them,
That's
just
correct.
the ones that were tattered.
That's correct, 75 from my understanding.
And then FPU assist in hanging the flags.
That's
on the
correct.
pole.
That's
Thank
correct.
you.
I'm all right with it too.
Okay, so we'll move that on to Tuesday night for approval.
In addition, you have received my report from throughout April, but just to let the board know that we have in addition to the budget session, we have on Monday, which the staff has been working very, very diligent to get information to the board as requested from the last budget meeting. But we also, in the next week, we have a meeting with FPU, and that will consist of Eddie and myself. But we will be meeting with them to coordinate the sidewalk bid project. Last month, we did approve to allow Croy to do the procurement process. So we're meeting next Friday morning to coordinate all of that with the hopes of having the bid out for advertisement before the end of May. So we're working on that. In addition to that, we have a project that's been ongoing for some years with Fayetteville, but it took a stop in the midst of the COVID. But we have the CSI that will be here in town from May 24th through the 26th, if I have my dates right. But Christy, Michelle, and Brian, they all been working to make sure everybody's in place, and we will be properly filmed. We have a company who we have used before that will be coming into town, and thankfully they have been coordinating all of those efforts. So that will be coming up, and that's pretty much my report for now.
Any questions for Mr. Owens? Okay, we'll move on to item I, and Vice Mayor, we're going to get you out of here in time, I hope.
They don't have to fly after I threatened to kill the thing. That's a smart fly.
We have a resolution R 2023-09 coming up. This is for the Fayetteville High School football team. We'll complete that on Tuesday night. That's very exciting. And also for the Planning Commission, this is FYI, Brian Thornberry will be appointed to the Planning Commission. This will be to fulfill the term of Eric Jones, who has turned in his resignation effective May 1. So that will be coming before on Tuesday night also. Anything else? If not, this meeting is adjourned.